I don't even know what it feels like to be a fan of a team that has to play on Wild Card Weekend. I mean, I feel bad for you because my team doesn't even have to play. We just get to sit back and wait and see who we're going to play in the divisional round. Of course, the Titans locking up that overall number 1 seed. Derrick Henry with 2 more weeks to get ready. We'll play either the 4, the 5, the 6, or the 7, depending on how the wild card games go. First wild card, you already hinted at this. Quick turnaround for the Raiders. Raiders are a 6 or 6.5 point underdog against the Bengals. I like the Raiders here. I also think I like the over 49 in this game. I'm going to bet both of those. How would you break this down? Do you buy into the Raiders or the Bengals or any particular sign here of this game?
So first things first, we'll do our weekly reminder. Please check the weather reports before placing your bets, especially if you're looking to make a case to go over the total in any of these games, unless it's being played on the West Coast or in a dome. Now that we have that out of the way, this number actually opened a shade higher at FanDuel. You saw the Bengals as a 6.5 point favorite. So initial support for the Raiders. For me, I made this number a little bit shorter. I think there is value and a secondary key of about a point and a half working in the Raiders' favor. When you look at the Raiders and their strength defensively, they can get after opposing quarterbacks. And you saw that on full display. I mean, Storm Norton had to do everything he could other than mug and maul Max Crosby, who essentially lived in the backfield. So if the Raiders can generate pressure, whether it's with Yannick Ngakoue or Max Crosby with their front 4, we know the Bengals' biggest weakness is along their offensive line. So despite having an edge on the outside, because the Bengals do skill position-wise, I think the Raiders can take Joe Burrow off his spot. Now, we talked about a little bit the quick turnaround, so that's a little bit concerning, and you try and figure out how to try and quantify that particular side of things. But this is a Raiders team now that's playing for one another. They feel like they're playing with a bit of house money. Derek Carr, of course, wasn't able to play back in 2016 against the Houston Texans, where Connor Cook was the starting quarterback because he broke his leg. Can't remember if it was in the regular season finale or week 16 back then. So I'm with you. I think the Raiders are a live underdog. Don't have strong feelings on the total. Want to dig into that a little bit more. But I think the Raiders will be poised for this spot. And I think it's a situation where coaching is neutral. You do get a quarterback edge in Joe Burrow. But we've seen it time and time again. Quarterbacks making their first playoff starts, laying points, are oftentimes a good go-against scenario, especially in Wild Card Weekend.
All right, the Bills are a 4.5 point favorite on the Saturday night game. Patriots on the road. Obviously, they've already played twice. This will be a third matchup for these two teams. Over under 43.5. I am on the Bills here, okay? I think the Bills, and I understand this is somewhat dangerous, I think the Bills have turned it up a notch down the stretch run of the season here. I love Josh Allen. I think they're happy to play against the Patriots. I know Bill Belichick is a great coach. Mac Jones' first ever playoff start, going to be a ruckus atmosphere in Orchard Park, given how the Patriots have owned the Bills.
A ruckus or raucous? A ruckus atmosphere or a raucous atmosphere? Where are we going with this?
A raucous atmosphere? Did I say that right?
Yeah, well, I think you can create a ruckus, but it's got to be a raucous atmosphere. You're supposed to be the wordsmith around here.
I think I said it right. I think you're. This is the second time in 2 straight days. Yesterday I was on with Will Kane, and he was arguing about whether I pronounced the word aberrant right or not. But anyway, I think you can pronounce it multiple ways. Ruckus, meaning it's going to be
hold on a second now. Not to rehash yesterday. Is it aberrant or is it abhorrent? I mean, which is
those
the
are
correct
two different words. Abhorrent is like it's awful, it's unbelievable. Aberrant is like it's an aberration, right? So I think this is I read so much. There are lots of words. My vocabulary is so extensive. There are lots of words that are rarely used on television that I use regularly in written communication. And so I think it's
gotta be so hard to be so smart like you.
It is.
I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you get out of bed every morning being so much smarter than everybody else. I don't get it.
I mean, it's a burden that I bear, Furman. Raucous, meaning it's going to be wild, it's going to be crazy, it's going to be insane for the Bills in a home field environment. They lost in, speaking of your weather porn here, Furman, they lost in a crazy weather game in, when was that, like November? When it was like 40-mile-an-hour winds and it was spitting snow and everything else. They dominated, 2.5 weeks ago or so, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, in Foxborough. I think they dominate again and cover this number.
I would lean Buffalo here. I think the number is fair, though, in that 4.5 range. I honestly don't believe you're stealing anything with the Bills. Do I think it's a game they lose? No. And this time of year, more so than during the regular season, given the stakes. And I know there'll be math guys out here going, oh, well, there's a direct correlation. I oftentimes, if there's a side I really like, I feel more comfortable betting steeper money lines here. So if I was going to back the Bills, I'd probably walk to the window and be willing to lay $2 on Buffalo, more so than the 4.5. It wouldn't shock me if this was a lower scoring game, if weather does play a role. Early indications are frigid temperatures, but no wind. And we talk about this all the time. If there's no wind, there's opportunities to move the ball. And I haven't seen Mac operate in, blustery conditions or even very cold environments.
They only threw it 3 times last time in bad weather conditions.
We know New England's going to try and run the ball. I just get the feeling, much like you, that this is a Buffalo team who used the 17-week regular season to figure things out. They're a little bit healthier on the offensive line. I know Josh Allen wasn't at his best week 18 against the New York Jets, but the defense held Zach Wilson largely in check. I think this is a game where Buffalo wins and potentially sets up a showdown/rematch coming into your backyard to take on the Tennessee Titans. Down the road, not next week. Not next week.
AFC Championship.
Not next week for the AFC Championship.
We only have to play the Chiefs or the Bills now for the Titans.
Yeah. Talk about a fortuitous bounce.